Good morning, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here. Okay, I'm Maylen. I'm actually based in Singapore, but I'm from the Philippines. So I'm a technical manager for Bentley Systems, supporting the transportation industry. Yesterday, you've seen a presentation of my colleague Andrew Smith, who has given us an overview in high level the importance of digitalization in the transportation industry, with emphasis on use cases for the railway sector. No, so today I'll be focusing more on the solutions or applications or technology behind those use cases showcased by Andrew yesterday, with a bit of focus on the best practices we can recommend in the design to delivery of rail infrastructure. So infrastructure connects us globally and locally, and we know that it is really essential for improving the quality of life. And the technology has evolved so much. And for the past 40 years, when Bentley was founded, our founders, the Bentley brothers, actually have seen how technology has evolved over the years. From where we save our data, maybe from disk drives, desktop PCs to servers, to mobile devices, and now through different cloud platforms like OneDrive, Google Drive, and the likes. Now, in line with this, we have seen continuous possibilities on different types of project deliverables, from 2D, 3D, 4D, and it keeps on changing. As for the industry practices, we have evolved from CAD, BIM, and now the buzzword is digital twin. Now, despite of these advancements in digitalization of the transportation sector, the sad reality is that most of us are still trapped in the traditional way of doing project delivery. So traditional project delivery relies on point solutions. When we say point solutions, there is this concept of handovers, wherein the handover from design into construction, then from construction into operations and maintenance. And most often, right, these handovers are from different organizations. So one organization could be the one performing design, then they would hand it over to a construction firm, and then once the asset is created or augmented, then it would be handed over to the operations and maintenance. But this handover or those handovers are quite fragmented, and those point-to-point connections lead to loss of information, and the value of the data has become useless. So, for example, during the design process, many designers are not looking at the entire problem. So maybe they would only be concerned with their own project deliverable. And they are not looking into maybe using different types of data to help them collaborate with other disciplines. They're not looking at the bigger picture. And maybe what is in the real site, or they're not really going to work or not thinking about what is in the end, right? Which is basically handing over it to the owners and operators. And there's a typical, or it typically loses fidelity of 3D models and are often turned into 2D PDFs. The loss in information or design intent uh, and the rich engineering information has become useless. And then the biggest drop, if you would look at this chart here or graph here, the biggest drop most of the time is into the maintenance and operations. Because as owners receive input from the designers and construction firms, multiple or disjointed pieces of information goes everywhere, right? So they have a hard time putting it all together to see the big picture of the asset that they need to maintain and perform. Now, ideally, okay, we would want to have a data-centric type of project delivery. So using data better is the key to address to the changing environment that we are in. And this graph here illustrates the value of information comparing a traditional handover with a data-centric and collaborative approach. And with Bentley, we are reimagining how we are leveraging data centricity to enable collaboration and ultimately connect people and data along the entire project lifecycle, from planning, design, build, and operate. Now, here's a sample, although I'm not too sure if it's visible, clearly visible on the screen. But here is an example of a proof of concept of a railway project shown in an internet browser. These are federated models from different project teams. And at the very start, the project is geo-coordinated to make sure that all submissions are using the same coordinate system, and the railway corridor was actually designed using an open solution or application of Bentley. Some parts, like the stations, were modeled using third-party softwares. And in this graphical user interface, is able to also link to IoT sensors to give information as to how the asset is performing as designed after construction. And the asset information is readily available on a click of a button, mainly because during the design stage, the owner of the project has mandated the asset data, such as business or design or even maintenance data, must be attached in every significant items in the model. And looking at the entire context of the project in the real-world setting, we also leverage on GIS and other types of information model or data, maybe coming from different government agencies. And this can also be linked and displayed in such interface. Now, all these are federated data models that were pulled from a common data environment, which are set up adhering to industry standards, and maybe even further linked to different business dashboards, such as Power BI, to extract more relevant outputs as deemed necessary by owners and operators. Now, maybe you're asking, how do we come up with such digital twin? Okay? And how do we achieve such data-centric approach in design to delivery of an infrastructure project? Now, with Bentley Systems, we see project phases as interconnecting continuous loop, where one phase is actually influencing the next. So it's an infinite loop, okay? And I've already mentioned about digital twin, but let's explore more on what a digital twin is, but specifically an infrastructure digital twin. We have been hearing probably about digital twin, but in the simplest description, it's actually a virtual representation of a real-world asset or assets or processes synchronized at a frequency and fidelity, or at a specified frequency and fidelity. So the infrastructure digital twin is a way for us to connect different data and systems created by diverse design tools into a federated environment with no disruption to your current tools or processes. And it helps you streamline, okay, your workflows and make sure that you don't just output a nice visualization, a nice 3D model, but you're able to reduce cost and the risk of projects, and making sure you have an improved collaboration and transparency between the project stakeholders. Now, if we move on to to standards and policies, right? Some of you may have heard about common data environment. And we need to make sure that we manage information properly and effectively in the whole project life cycle of an asset. And the best standard to adhere to in terms of infrastructure is the ISO 19650, which actually uses the principle of high-level requirements of BIM Level 2, and then closely aligned with the UK 1192 standards. Now, the ISO 19650 is actually leveraging on building information modeling, okay? Getting benefit through better specifications and then delivery of just the right amount of information concerning the planning, design, construction, operations, and maintenance of infrastructure and not just buildings. And I will not go through much detail about the common data environment because I think most of you are more, more knowledgeable in terms of knowing or discussing common data environment because most of the attendees here are professors or in line with the academe or owners or operators. But then what we want to just interject here is that having a common data environment would basically allow you to coordinate across different design teams, not just architecture, not just for buildings, but in a typical railway project, it's not just the corridor that you are concerned on, right? So there could be, or you could be starting from survey, and then creating or designing stations or even substations, drainage and utilities. Of course, you have to know what's underneath as well. So that's where geotechnical solutions comes in. And of course, the rail, road, as well as bridges and tunnels. Now, having a common data environment would help you enhance collaboration, basically because the workflow would be seamless, taking care of that point-to-point, challenges that you face in traditional type of project delivery. And it would be best, okay, or recommended if it is mandated from the very start by the owners and or the operators, and so on, okay? Now, apart from us establishing a common data environment, it would also be a best practice to come up with a common modeling environment. Now, in a typical railway project, from planning, design, and engineering workflow, we would be dealing with these disciplines or requirements for geotechnical or rail transport planning, survey and reality modeling, then maybe creating feasibility studies, creating conceptual design, stations or substations, and then, of course, the detailed design and engineering of the railway itself. Then adding drainage and utilities, rail overhead line, and of course, defining your project deliverables, and then basically not just outputting a visualization, but making sure along the way of the workflow, you are doing an effective design review as well as collaboration. Okay? Now, if I may just go back to this slide here, and then putting connected data and putting common data or common modeling environment, it actually is a good way for you to make sure that the connectivity of your data are streamlined along your workflow. And then this video here is one example of how we can leverage on different technologies to make sure that we are having a good workflow in terms of survey, okay, conceptual design as being shown here, okay, of a railway corridor. It could be at grade, it could be underground, it could be along a viaduct, and then move on to the detailed engineering design of the railway, adhering to different industry standards. And then if a tunnel requirement is needed, then you also have some tools that would allow you to analyze what is underneath before you actually do an excavation or a TB, or doing a tunnel boring along the alignment, okay? Now, it would also be best if you know how to handle different changes that would happen when you're doing your design and engineering. And this is one way of us, or for you to address these kinds of changes. Whenever there are changes in the alignment, right, computational design can be leveraged in order for you to uh, to make sure that you handle changes properly. And you don't need to recreate your model, basically because you have an available script, okay, that you just update when the alignment updates. So this one shows us that the alignment has been updated, and then you don't need to remodel the MEPs, okay, that run along the tunnel alignment. Then all you need to do is just refresh that script, and it will follow and adhere to the changes that happen to the alignment. And if I may just give a name to the solutions that I have seen, that I have shown so far. So we have, I'm not going to mentioning all, but for Bentley, these are the solutions that are used in that particular workflow that I've shown later on. Earlier. And then most of this are using a common modeling platform, which is MicroStation, with a file format of DGN. But then, of course, the reality is you may be using other platforms or softwares, and I'll be discussing that later on. And then when we're doing design, we have to make sure that we have construction in mind. When we say construction in mind, make sure that we adhere to construction practices, and then this really depicts what is happening on the ground, right? So having a tool that would allow you to do design review and analysis while you're doing your design is a good practice in terms of doing your collaboration. And then I was given 5 minutes, but I still have like 10 slides to go. So I hope I'll be able to present the slides. And then this is one example of how we leverage on the digital or infrastructure digital twin in the construction monitoring of a railway site. Okay, this example is from Malaysia, actually, wherein they leverage on the reality model to know the progress of the construction on the site in a particular span of time. Okay? And I would like to invite you to use your phones or mobile devices to just scan through this sample reality models so that you can more or less have an experience on how you can use reality models in your projects, or maybe even existing ones, or maybe coming projects. Okay? So, okay, can I proceed? Some are still taking photos. Okay? So, okay. So, plan and design with build, or plan, design, build with operations and maintenance in mind. Okay, wait, it's not playing. It's supposed to play, sorry. So, in every aspect of our planning, designing, and construction, let's be sure that we have the operations and maintenance in mind, so that really we don't waste data. Okay, we don't waste data, and then we make sure that there is a seamless flow of information from within the project life cycle. And it would also be best if we create or have a country data set or a standard, right? So from CAD standards or maybe rail or roadway detailing standards, country design criteria, and maybe localized BIM standards as well. Now, moving on to the last part of my presentation, infrastructure digital twin is actually not just 3D models or visualization, right? So we tend to connote or denote information modeling or infrastructure digital twin with just seeing a nice visualization or a nice 3D model, okay? But when in fact, infrastructure digital twin should be a trusted data, a single view of truth across the project phases and disciplines. And if I may just address the openness of the platform of Bentley application, we do support not just only our own file formats, but also other third-party solutions. So we have this Bentley Infrastructure Cloud that would allow to marry all this disparate type of data and then um, maybe use your own APIs in order to extend those data in an interface or in a graphical user interface that would show different aspects of your business or your project. Okay, and then adding on different types of data, IoT sensors, maybe extending it to ERP or CRM systems, using reality data, and then merging it or resulting to different types of outputs or outcomes, okay? And then this platform is actually working alongside different industry players, okay? And then actually we have acquired Cesium, which gives us a more photorealistic 3D tiles of Earth or any location that we have depending on our project. And then for Bentley Infrastructure Cloud, connects data and people across project life cycle. And as I've said, it's, it's a continuous, it should be ideally a continuous process and producing results that are not just for us to present our project in a 3D or a visualization. And then I think you know that transportation life cycle, basically from build, design, maintain, operate, these are the workflows. Now, if I may just put names to these workflows specific to Bentley solutions, right, I would although hopefully it's clear on the slide or in the projector. So every aspect of the project life cycle, we have specific solutions that addresses this phases of the project life cycle. And then lastly, best-in-class organizations benefit from this infrastructural digital twin. And as presented yesterday by my colleague, Andrew Smith, it's not only in US, in Europe, it also being adapted here in Southeast Asia. And hopefully, we'll be seeing a lot adoption from Thailand as well. Okay? And with that, I would like to thank everyone for listening and watching my presentation. And just a last note, plan, design, and build with the end in mind. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentations. Any questions from audience? Okay, if okay.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. My name is Shayut from Chulalongkorn University. So, well, I'm from civil engineering, and well, when it comes to digital twin, so it means we need what we expect is to the real-time model updating, right? Or
Yeah.
real-time model updating. So we need the several tons of sensors on infrastructures. So how did you deal with this kind of sensors or integrate all the system, all the subsystem into your digital twin models?
Okay, thank you for that question. It's a nice question. When in terms of updating in real time, right, coming from IoT sensors, so the infrastructure cloud actually has, depending on the type of the sensors that you're using, it has a specific, schedules on how it could update your database that is linked to the digital twin, right? So it depends on how you dictate it, okay? But basically, it would be displayed in a GUI in such a way that it is available on your browser. But of course, this browser, you can set your permission as to who can access it only, because this is like information, important information that has to be secured and updated by you only. So real time would really depend, or being real time would depend on how often you would synchronize the IoT sensor to the infrastructure digital twin.